This episode of Breaking Down the Ring is brought to you by Tolle Legal Group Estate Planning. Estate planning is for everyone. Whether you're worth $4,000 or $40 million, estate planning can help protect you, your family, and your assets while you're alive and well. Damn. To register for an upcoming workshop today, go to tollelegal.com/workshops or call 586-273-7157. Again, that's tollelegal.com/workshops or call 586-273-7157.
What the Rock is cooking.
You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information.
Ladies, gentlemen, we are officially back. After a week and a half off, Breaking Down the Ring has moved to Sunday. Kids tickets just $5. Come see Gravedigger. No, wrong one? All right, whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, we have so much to talk about. Raw's season premiere. All Elite Wrestling's series premiere. WWE NXT's first 2-hour show on the USA Network. SmackDown is officially on broadcast television, and Hell in a Cell is tonight. We make our pro wrestling scorecards picks. We do all of that and more this week as we
break the ring down.
Daniel says
You don't know.
we already have like 8 years. We've never had 8 years right off the bat on a Wednesday night at all.
Oh yeah.
Right? Yeah. And another good reason we're done before football.
Your ass. You just made the list.
This right here is a family.
Hey, this is professional wrestler and professional podcaster Colt Boom Boom Cabana.
My name is Killer Cross.
This is The Smoke Show, Scarlett Bordeaux.
What's up, guys? The F Machine Brian Cage.
This is Ryan from Pro Wrestling Tees.
Sadly, you are not listening to The Art of Wrestling, but you made a decent choice because you're listening.
You are now listening to.
When you're listening,
And you're listening to
You listen to Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring. Bring it down.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the most inappropriate pro wrestling show in the motherfucking world. You're listening to Breaking Down the Ring. And before we normally introduce the ring crew, there are some changes that have happened along with this move to Sunday. Our good friend Z could not keep up with the schedule and anything, so we had to fucking get rid of him, unfortunately. We do wish him the best in all of his future endeavors. Joe is going to be part-time now, just because a lot of stuff that with family and everything on Sundays. But he still will be a part of doing our picks for pro wrestling scorecards, which we're going to be talking about those today for Hell in a Cell. And he will be at certain events and everything like that. So Joe is not gone. He's just a little bit more part-time. Smitty is working just on his CPT. So he'll be here next week because he's running really late. But we are introducing a brand new member of the ring crew. The one, the only, El Nazd. Now, should we call you Nas? Do you want to go L? Do you want to?
I'll just be L.
L?
L works.
L, like
yeah,
the
yeah, like 11.
like,
yeah,
like the girl
that'll
from
work.
Stranger Things.
That'll work. If I randomly get a nosebleed, I'll leave.
He took a lot of the things away from Z. He just kind of gave us all of his shirts and stuff like that. So it's weird that.
No, actually, I got this at StarCast in Chicago when I met you guys. I met this.
We weren't giving those away.
I
Vegas
met the
one.
couple, Daniel and Dez.
Oh.
I think she can do way better. But I met them, and they told me about their scorecards and everything, and I was interested. They asked me my shirt size. I said 2XL. I didn't know I was stealing the last shirt from Nick
Yeah, I
over
still
here
didn't get
at
one.
the time. But yeah, I met them at StarCast.
This masked wonder walks in. And, oh, here you go, buddy.
And
Don't be mad because I look sweet.
you don't just look sweet, you look sweet. Ah, you thought I was gonna say too sweet, didn't you?
Mucho sweet.
Mucho sweet. Good morning, Jesse. Good morning, Daniel. Keith, hello. Thank you so much for everyone that's tuning in currently right now to our first ever Sunday show. Now, that being said, there's other changes that have going on. We have started a brand new store for our clothing. You can go to our official website, breakingdownthering.com. When you click on official merchandise in the menu thing on the top right, or if you're mobile, just the drop-down menu, you click official merchandise. It'll take you to our new shirts and hoodies. That's what's really cool about this, is this new one. We have hoodies, myriad of colors. You don't just have to deal with black, unlike Smitty. You're just basically, we have ultra colors, like from pink, the BDR Dream Team logo you can get in red, white, and blue hoodies and shirts. Myriad of colors for the Breaking Down the Ring logo and the BDR logo shirts. So again, go to breakingdownthering.com, click on official merchandise, and it'll take you directly to the brand new shirts and hoodies for us. More coming soon, obviously. Referee Brandon Tolle is going to be calling in. He's an Evolve referee. He also is working with Impact Wrestling. He's going to be doing reffing the Impact things that are upcoming that will be showing soon on Axis on Tuesday nights. There's a lot of wrestling to pay attention to a week now, folks, and we are going to talk about a strong majority of it. First, this week is probably the biggest premiere week in wrestling, Raw season premiere, WWE NXT's on Wednesday night, the Wednesday Night Wars, AEW Dynamite, NXT, and of course SmackDown's premiere on broadcast television. Nas, we were talking a little bit about we were talking a little bit about this. I don't know if I can call you.
Call me Nas, that's fine. Made you look.
Right. Just a slave to the page in my rhyme book. So we were talking a little bit about this. I made mention that this is the first time that a professional wrestling show is on broadcast network television in one of for the type of viewing audience that you have. And you had said that SmackDown used to be on UPN and CW, which were
Channel 50.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
let's call it Channel 50.
But for us, it's channel. I don't know what the fuck it is for anyone else.
Right.
Actually, you know what? I think it was Channel 50 because it was UPN 50.
Yes.
So unless
it's been Channel 50. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been a myriad of different names throughout the years, but looking at your broadcast television, you got your 2, your 4, your 7, your 20, your 50, and your 62.
Right.
Also great Keno numbers.
2, 4, and 7. Where 2 is Fox, at least in here in the Detroit Metro.
Right.
2 is Fox, 4 is NBC, 7 is ABC. 20 and 50 were just
WB and UPN,
and UPN, CW,
My
was
TV 20.
Yeah, My TV 20 was 20, and then 62 was CBS. So you had said that this is SmackDown was kind of on network television before this.
Not live though.
It
was taped.
But
It was taped on Tuesdays, played on Fridays.
But at the same time, the point that I was trying to make, and obviously our listeners can chime in here. The CW is not Fox. As a matter of fact, Fox wasn't Fox back then.
True.
Because Fox didn't start until like the late 80s. Like Fox Network started somewhere in the 80s.
I mean, but
it wasn't one of the big three. It was originally ABC, NBC, CBS.
But also, it seems like lately, like this past year alone, that Fox has dumped a bunch of money into its network. Like now we have Thursday Night Football on Fox. We have yesterday the Michigan game was big noon Saturday on Fox. Like it seems like Fox is dumping a bunch of money into their network to kind of make them the top tier network of the 5 big networks. So to say.
And then you have so SmackDown is officially on Fox now, and I think this is, I asked the question on our Twitter, I put up a poll: is this possibly the biggest night in professional wrestling, even bigger than WrestleMania 1? And I asked that only because WrestleMania 1, look, Vince went all out. Right? If WrestleMania 1 didn't succeed, Vince goes bankrupt, WWE goes away.
To be fair, Vince was bankrupt. He filed for bankruptcy before WrestleMania 1, so he would have went bankrupt a second time.
Bankrupt.
Yeah, exactly. El Bankrupto.
El Bankrupt. That's how you people say it.
Yeah, I'm like
people?
I'm like 164th Mexican. I got this.
You People is actually what UPN stood for, the You People Network.
You People Network.
I thought it was the You People Nation.
Yeah, whatever, man. So with Fox being hosting SmackDown, the reason I say this might be the biggest thing in professional wrestling is because this is making professional wrestling way more mainstream, 100% more mainstream.
Yeah,
and if this stays where it is, as in popularity, you could see many more wrestling shows come to broadcast network television, the big three, the big four.
Big Five.
So
Big Five. That's what they call it, the Big Five.
Yeah.
Yeah, CW is the little brother in this.
yeah,
I'm just telling you what the Google machine tells you.
I understand it's the Google machine, but fuck the Google machine.
I
the CW
agree.
The CW does not pull in the ratings that the other four do.
So when I made that comment in the chat, I was like, oh yeah, it was on the CW, da 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 da, and you're like, no, it's not broadcast television. So I Googled it, and it said it was, and I was like, sweet, I was right. So
Google told me I was right.
well, again, going the standard television shows growing up, especially when you didn't have cable, like these were your 6 channels.
So we put up the poll asking if people thought that SmackDown now could be, if it was as important as the most important thing in wrestling currently. It was actually a tie. We had 3 options. Oh, hell yeah. No. The actual question was, seeing as this Friday's episode of SmackDown on Fox is the first time ever that a live pro wrestling show will air on primetime network television, is this possibly the biggest thing in wrestling, even bigger than WrestleMania 1? The 3 options were, oh, hell yeah, no, and have to wait and see. 38% for oh, hell yeah, and no, while 23% of the people say we'll have to wait and see. Nick, to you, is this possibly the biggest, because no one knew WrestleMania 1 was going to be as big as it was and what it gave us, but 10, 15 years down the line, could it possibly be seen that SmackDown premiering on broadcast network television is one of the biggest things in wrestling, if not the biggest thing in wrestling?
Yeah, I'm of the, excuse me, the we'll have to wait and see vote. I think it's still too early. You've got a lot of people that might have just tuned in just to see some nostalgia, see The Rock, and whoever else was expected to be on there that may or may not have been on there. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But man, it's a huge, huge step for that company and for wrestling, just wrestling period as a whole, to be on a network like Fox. You know, Fox has just been going up and up and up over the last 20, 30 years with what they're putting out there. So yeah, I think we'll have to wait and see.
After now watching SmackDown, do you feel that the first ever SmackDown on Fox, put it in baseball terms, was it a single, a double, a triple, home run, or a walk-off grand slam? In your eyes, as an overall show,
I like that.
Ground rule double.
A ground rule double. So it like went far, but bounced over the wall. So yes, you had to stop it too.
Yeah.
All right. Why is that?
I was the first half hour, 45 minutes, awesome. The Rock got that huge pop. I thought the banter in the ring and the whole promo with all of it was great. Some of the matches recycled, maybe.
I have a question.
Let him finish his answer first? Well, man, you're
it had something to do with that particular comment, so I just wanted to expand on it.
Remember it.
So, well,
I'll try.
The ladder match I enjoyed, and I felt like Brock needed to win the title. The fact more so that Kofi just needed to lose it.
In 9 seconds, so.
Yeah, that kind of pissed me off.
We'll go into
the but I mean, it was just, for me, because I watch SmackDown every week, it wasn't like a home run. It wasn't like, oh my God, it's the best SmackDown I've ever seen. But it was good. It was definitely
ground
good.
rule double.
Yeah.
All right. Nas, for you.
All right.
Single, double, triple, home run, or walk-off grand slam?
Since we're going baseball terms, this was extra innings, 11th inning, walk-off home run.
Hit by pitch.
Walk-off hit. Walk-off hit.
Walk-off hit.
Because of Shane Valdez.
Cain Velasquez.
Yeah, Shane Valdez makes it a walk-off hit. Up until that point, it's a back and forth game. I mean, we're going baseball terms here. Like we're tied top of the ninth. We go into extra innings. You're like, this is kind of boring. And then, Shane Velasquez comes out and, gets the walk-off hit for WWE. He's even hyped up by Rey Mysterio. It was great.
Dominic grew.
Yeah, that's what I thought when he first came out. I was like, he shaved his head and got a tattoo.
I'm going to go along with Nick's sentiment. I think it was a double. I think there could have been a lot more. I thought the way it started
was it
off,
a walk-off double?
No, it was just a double. It was a straight double because the way it started off, man, it seemed like this was going to be a fucking grand slam.
Yeah.
Right? The rub that Corbin got and Becky got from Rock coming out there was amazing.
Crackhead Burger King?
Watching Baron Corbin hit Rock with the End of Days, but them reversing it and calling it a rock bottom. Because let's be very honest, Baron Corbin's finisher is he makes somebody flip back, they do that thing, and then flips back, and he takes a rock bottom every fucking time.
Yeah.
This time, it took him out.
He's been practicing for this particular moment.
I think it was a double because I thought it was a good show. I agree with it. I think every wrestling show this week outside of NXT started off great the first half and then just went off the rails at the end of it. The only difference is SmackDown. The Cain Velasquez thing, I agree with that. It is a big name. It is somebody, especially to see Brock sell him. Right, you don't see Brock have fear in his face ever.
Mm-hmm.
He goes into every.
That
Brock's
was real.
facials-
That wasn't fake. That was real.
Brock's facials sell everything better than what it was. So now let's go into the conversation of SmackDown. You said Kofi losing in 8 to 10 seconds.
It was 9. Officially, it was 9 seconds.
9 seconds. Okay, so 9 seconds, Kofi dropped his championship belt. We all said that Kofi just kind of needs to lose the belt and go back for it, though.
And I'm not mad that he lost the belt.
Nas, what are your feelings on this? How quick it was and things like that?
Okay, so I'm not mad that Kofi lost the belt. The fact of the matter is, plain and simple, Brock Lesnar is a bigger draw than Kofi Kingston. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, from what I've read, put race into this. Was like, Fox wanted... No, and they did. They said that they did this to Kofi because Kofi was black. No, I don't believe that for a fucking second.
That's why John Cena lost to Brock so quickly because he was fucking black.
Yep, exactly.
Well,
I can't see him, so.
Cena also took 16 German suplexes.
No, there was a match that Brock squashed Cena. I'm not talking the title.
You're not talking
Yeah,
SummerSlam?
It was one of the first returns for Brock when he came back. He just fucking. Or
Yeah,
even
that
when
was
he
2000.
younger or
Yeah,
something.
he killed. Okay, anyways. What? Okay, so this doesn't make sense to me storyline wise because Brock has gone the distance with a couple competitors that Kofi has beaten. So, with that being said, I didn't expect Kofi to win. I knew Brock was going to win. Did I know Brock was going to win with one F5 in 9 seconds? Like, that seems to be a slap in the face to Kofi's whole title reign. Like, let's take race completely out of it. Just him as a person. Like, Daniel Bryan lost to Sheamus in 18 seconds. Like, you couldn't make Kofi go 19 seconds? Like, what the fuck?
Right.
Yeah.
With that being said, having Velasquez come out after the match, even though, like, at very first when he walked out, I thought he was Dominic. It made sense. It made more sense to me. Like, I was mad and I was like, okay, I get why they did it. But then I thought about it. I was like, but why? Like, you don't need a title on Brock Lesnar to make a selling point for him versus Cain Velasquez.
Yep.
At all.
Fully agree with that. Fully agree with that point. This did not need to involve the title.
No, not at all. And now that it does, like, either you're going to have Brock go over in wrestling, which you're still going to have your haters that are like, oh, well, Brock can't beat him in an octagon, but he can beat him in a ring. Or you have Velasquez go over, and this dude has had, 2 wrestling matches his entire life?
Right.
So, and I don't know, man. I am on board with Kofi wasn't drawing like they thought he would. He had his 6-month run. It was time to take the belt off him. I'm on board with all of that. I'm just pissed off in the fashion in which he lost it. The only thing that could save it now is him being like either A, turning heel because of this, or B, using that power of positivity to come back from this.
Nick, how were you feeling about this?
I was pissed off too. Not the fact that Kofi lost. Nope. I fully expected him to win. Lose. Wanted him to lose. But
because you're racist?
Yes, exactly. So
Fair.
1/64th of me is mad at you.
I'm willing to take that.
Same. I did 23 and me myself.
No, but I mean, it just, I don't know. I guess from a normal, let's say you're a new wrestling fan and you're watching this for the first time. I think for me, in my opinion, it could go one of two ways. You could see this and, okay, well, SmackDown was cool. All right, now we got this championship match. Wow, this dude is the champion, but he looks like there's no way he could beat this big motherfucker, Brock Lesnar. And, I mean, for a new fan, it kind of feels like it would lose credibility as, okay, well, they had this dude as the champion. He lost to this other guy in 5 seconds. So, like, why is he the fucking champion to begin with? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you could also look at it from the opposite perspective and be like, wow, this Brock Lesnar guy who I'm not familiar with, which, you know.
There isn't a single person watching SmackDown that's not familiar with Brock Lesnar.
Okay.
Right, but like, okay, I see this dude and he's a monster. Now I see why he is, because he just fucking squashed this guy. So, but I think they could have gave Kofi a little bit better of a send-off.
Let's be honest. This is how the Nyla Rose Riho match should have gone.
Yeah.
100%.
I agree. Kofi should have lost. And if you're making this a race thing, I feel like you're going too far with it.
There are people out there that are
I know,
doing
but I know you said that. But what I'm saying is, if you're one of those people that's making this a race thing, Kofi lost because he's black. No, man. Brock has gone and squashed other people all the time. Sure, there are people that Brock has had wrestling matches with that Kofi beat. I agree with that. Storyline? I agree. They don't need a title for Brock at all, unless Brock is back more often. Look, you can bitch, whine, moan, and complain about Brock Lesnar being a part-time wrestler all you want, right? But the fact that he worked that type of contract out, and WWE is paying him the money that they're paying him.
Oh, I'm not mad at Brock for it.
So that's great for Brock. I am not mad at Brock. Brock Lesnar has not had a bad match since WrestleMania with Dean Ambrose, right? A squash match every now and then, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
I can't call those good or bad matches. It's a fucking squash. There's no such thing as a good squash match. There's no such thing as a bad squash match. It's just a squash match. But Brock has been, every time Brock has gone out there, be it Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, anyone else that he was taking on with a real wrestling match, when Goldberg squashed him, obviously not part of it, but the 4-minute fest at WrestleMania, still a good match. You were invested in it. You bought into it. Brock Lesnar has good matches. 12-star rated matches? No. 1-star rated matches?
11-star matches. 11-star.
These are all, if you're going by the normal scale, they're all 3-star matches.
Yeah, 3.5.
Right?
3.5 to 4 stars, depending on the
nothing
the talent he's
spectacular,
with.
nothing amazing, but nothing that you walk away from and go, man, fuck that match.
Yeah, nothing like him doing a shooting star press.
So
just because he
that
can
being
doesn't mean
said,
he should.
Brock Lesnar, when he was champion, the only reason people got pissed off was because he wasn't there with the belt. Your titles should mean enough to be on TV regularly. And I'm not saying every fucking week. I don't give a shit if Seth Rollins disappears for 2 weeks and comes back.
He did
right? I don't give a shit if he does that a couple times a month, a couple times a year. But he's there consistently, regularly.
Well, you at
Brock
least
as
do
the
a
champion is something that is not necessary because, like Nas said, the draw. And then on top of that, he's gone too much. But if Brock as the champion is there more often, and we said this before when he won the Money in the Bank. If you're showing up every couple of weeks and you're at least fighting for that title on every other pay-per-view, I'll be okay with this title run.
Well, I mean, he could even do every pay-per-view and show up once a month on live TV, and we can just do video. Like, going back to, like, when Raw first started, Brett was the champion, and Brett wasn't on every Raw, but you saw a video package from Brett on every Raw. Doesn't mean he was there live in person, but there was some kind of promo cut, and you saw the championship. And also, back in the 90s, even in the 2000s, the champion never wrestled on network television because they wanted you to pay to see your champion wrestle. So Brett never had a match, and when he did, it was a big deal. Like, if he had a match on Raw, it was a big deal, no matter what it was. Like, whether he was against a jobber or a main talent or whatever, it was a big deal because the champion never wrestles on network television. The champion wrestles on pay-per-view, kind of like UFC does now. Like, you can't have a championship fight on TV that hasn't already happened because they want you to pay to see it.
Right.
And if we go back to that, that's fine. I see Lesnar once a month while they're hyping up other talent. Cool. Not a problem.
Right.
I'm of the mindset that we might start seeing Brock, though, a little more. I think Fox,
We have, though.
you know, even more so now, maybe even every week for like a month, and then you'll see him take like a 2-week break.
Well, now that we're on
You know.
Fox and Fox is throwing money at this, you're right. We're probably going to see Lesnar a lot more.
What's also funny about this is so many people are involved. Okay. So what was that?
That was my phone falling.
God, nah. It's your first show, and you're already.
Hey,
having
man, these Mexican phones are pieces of shit, all right?
It's an L phone, not an iPhone. It's an Apple.
Stop making fun of my phone.
I'm sorry.
Chalupa Wireless.
Jesus. It's Chalupa Supreme.
Holy
I got the
shit.
Supreme package.
Okay, let's move on from Brock and Kofi and Kane Velasquez. Let's talk about Rock, not Brock. The Rock. So SmackDown opens up with Becky Lynch, the man, coming out. It's your second night of WWE main television wrestling that you've always seen for a very long time. And of course, Pyro is back. As a matter of fact, let's stop. Let's not even talk Rock right now. Let's talk just the look of SmackDown. Fucking Nick, you're watching SmackDown, you see the fucking stage set up. To me, it automatically took me back to when pay-per-views used to have their own setup and everything like that on stages, and you were like, "Holy shit, this shit is great."
Yep.
How did you feel seeing the SmackDown stage right away?
About the same, because you're right. Back in the day, you would see pay-per-views, and every pay-per-view would have a different stage set up, and that was awesome, and it's refreshing. And I know we'll probably talk about the Raw one. The Raw one was very boring.
You thought so?
Yeah. It wasn't great. It didn't wow me like the SmackDown one did.
Okay.
So
Okay, so let's talk about all stages. Let's just bring all stages.
Yeah.
SmackDown, NXT is obviously the same, a little bit bigger video board. AW's is something we've seen. It's not really different than what we've seen.
It's one of my 5 problems with AEW.
It's not really anything different we've seen from any of their pay-per-views. It looks a
Exactly.
lot like
Yeah.
The old
All Out.
fucking no, not All Out. It looks a lot like the old Impact stages. When they
No,
used to do
it's
the
the
2
exact setup as All Out.
And then Raw is the brand new. It's like waterfall type stage because
Yeah.
it looks like it's coming down, and then even on the edges,
Almost, it
flows
looks like
up.
like a vert pipe.
like,
like a waterfall. Like it just comes down and then it flows out. So we're talking all stages. Is SmackDown the new standard for stage setups?
I think so. I think they went above and beyond, and they're clearly dumping more money into this, and they wanted it to look like the best stage. Between the like octagon looking things that were on the stage where they come out,
Which made Rey Mysterio's entrance look fucking sweet, by the way.
the pyro was awesome. I really like the little things that they're doing with, like, for instance, when Becky Lynch comes out and the smoke and the wind kind of it just creates a different aura when she's coming out. I think they did a greait job. Raw reminds me, and I can't take my mind off the Tony Hawk Pro Skater now that I saw somebody put a meme about it.
They had the vert pipe, man.
I still like it. It's fine. It's really cool,
Bobby
but it's not
Roode's
as
entrance on that thing. Oh,
it was. Yeah.
Well, Hogan's entrance was sweet on that thing.
yeah,
too.
everything was float. Yeah,
Everyone else looks like they could skate up and down it, though.
Yeah. I don't like the entrance, like the door where they come out.
I wish it was more centered.
Yeah.
Like instead of being off to the right, or the left, however you're looking at it, but if you're looking at it directly on, it's a little bit to the right. I wish it was more centered. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Naz, how are your feelings on the SmackDown stage and all the stages? Like you said, one of your problems with AEW was the stage setup.
Well, okay, so one of my problems with AEW was the fact that it's the exact same setup from All Out. The only difference is Cody was like one of the last 3 matches, so that thing didn't come up until after.
Cody was the first match.
Not at All Out.
Oh, and All Out. Okay. Yeah.
At All Out, so that little thing that comes up when he comes out didn't come up till, the end of the show ish.
It was up before his entrance.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was when the pyro was going off because you saw TNT right there, and then it went down.
No.
And then his entrance.
No. I'm talking about at All Out.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm going to all Out. They had the 2 tunnels like they have,
Yeah.
and they had that centerpiece.
Yeah.
And that centerpiece.
Well, the centerpiece was down through All Out because in case Bret Hart came out, so he knew to turn when walking back.
But my point is, once Cody came out, that thing stayed in the air at All Out. Right. So he's the first match on TNT, so that thing stays in the air. But you still have the 2 tunnel thing, which I don't. It was like, okay, they're using the same layout that they used at All In
and Impact.
Or
TNA, when it first came out, that's how it did it.
Well, also
the heels come out of one side, the fucking faces come out the
WCW Thunder. They had the same kind of setup.
Thunder.
My point is, if Full Gear is the same stage setup, I'm gonna be a little annoyed just because I think your pay-per-views just need a different feel than your everyday show.
Were you annoyed when the pay-per-views were not different for WWE? When it was the SmackDown stage setup?
I didn't notice.
Okay, so
I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't notice.
Okay, so if you didn't notice, then why is it going to be such a big deal for you if Full Gear is different? If you didn't even notice that WWE was always doing the SmackDown setup, anytime, every fucking time, because when they went to when they did the weekly thing at when they were doing Raw and SmackDown right after, you had the pay-per-view, you had NXT. The pay-per-view went to one thing, but Raw and NXT. Raw and SmackDown and NXT TakeOver all had the same stage setup, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's the same with the WWE pay-per-views. It's basically the SmackDown setup, except
but they do
for Raw the board comes out like this.
Yep.
And for SmackDown it goes and it cuts in. Mm-hmm. But so they would do the Raw board, but the main stage and the bottom was the center release like SmackDown.
Okay, but that's still different than Raw or SmackDown.
Okay.
I mean, it's
a small technicality. But you're right.
It's a slight difference.
The Raw Titantron with the SmackDown stage.
The AEW was the exact same thing. I saw it all out, and which is fine. This is your first show. If this is your layout for your show, I'm not asking for a huge difference, but do something slightly different so I know it's a bigger show than just your TV.
Yeah,
okay.
I think they could go back. Sorry, I'm going to cut you off.
No, you're good.
The show having that stage, pay-per-views having their own special.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be like a complete retool of what they do. It just has to be slightly different. With SmackDown, SmackDown reminded me of a modern version of the original SmackDown stage. They used to have the big ovals, which was like, it would go all the way back. And now they have this octagon-looking thing that's cut, but it still goes back. And it does make entrances look cool. I do not like the Raw one at all.
Really?
I'm not. Now, with the exception of like Hogan's entrance, which looks sweet, that little door you guys were talking about, even if it was centered, it would bother me because it's pushed back and it's not lined up. So it almost looks like a house that took out the doorway and then put a different style fucking shingle
But
over
think
it.
about this now. If you had it more centered and the cameras are directly on, you wouldn't be able to tell that door was off center. You wouldn't see like the little cuts in it. If it was directly centered, then when you're having a camera straight on,
Or-
it looks like it's a part of the wall.
Or you could not do a cutout and do a flat wall and have them come around a side.
No, it's way too fucking far of a walk.
I
understand that.
well, yeah, for like Undertaker, but
if you have it centered rather than off-centered, you don't notice the cutout when it's a direct shot of the stage, which is what mostly are. Most of the shots are. If there's a cameraman on the ramp, they're directly in there. Look, so when you're looking at it directly on, let's look at it for so anyone who's watching on the video feed. If you're looking at it directly on, right, it's right here. But this door is over here, so you see the cuts. You see where
you see the
black.
difference in
you see the black. You see where there's
Yeah.
no screen. You see where there's curtain, but you would not catch as much of the curtain, or if any, if it was directly centered. Just like the SmackDown stage, when wrestlers come out, it's directly centered. My only beef with the SmackDown stage right now is the fucking grate in the middle of it, right? Like
Okay.
for Raw, like so when Miz comes out on Raw and he does this point, and then he goes like this. It's the fucking red carpet-ish type thing that goes down the ramp. You don't get that on SmackDown now. Now there's in the middle of it, there's a fucking grate. Again, still the best stage setup in wrestling right now for any type of show.
no, and especially with like the strobes and everything. Like,
It's with the lasers and everything. What's up, Bear? My only beef with the SmackDown stage, but I love the Raw stage. When I first saw it, I was like, holy shit, that is gorgeous.
I
And
like
then
the
as the day
idea
went
of it.
on,
Yeah.
As the show went on, I really wish that was
Like
off,
Seth
that wasn't
Rollins.
off-center.
Seth Rollins is video that plays. That's when you notice it the most because it does like the static, and then the static doesn't match up where the door is.
Yeah, and that's my only beef. I agree with that. My only beef with that Raw stage, I still love it, but I have a beef with it, just like I have a beef. Do I think the Raw stage is better than NXT and AEW? I think it's equal to AEW because I like AEW stage, right? I like the double tunnel. I always loved that in TNA. I'm not going to knock it. I've always liked it. But if that Raw door was centered, I would think Raw's was better than AEW because that takes away from it for me. I agree with you. Like with Seth Rollins or anybody's, it takes.
I just noticed it more with Seth's. Not really with Becky's because it's like black and the man.
Right,
So you don't,
yeah,
you know,
so
and Hogan's, you don't really notice it.
Because they were mostly zoomed in on Hogan, and then you didn't
Whoa.
really see it until Hogan. You didn't see the full setup until Hogan was walking down, and then the whole fucking thing was pushing forward.
While we're on it, while we're on this topic, can we touch upon Ric Flair's 17th championship?
We'll go into everything when we talk Raw and everything like that.
I'm interested to see it now if there's going to be a different pay-per-view stage set up for Hell in a Cell and pay-per-views moving forward because the SmackDown and the Raw stages are so different.
Yeah.
They were combining the two before, like you said, but now I don't really see how they can do that.
Yeah, the
So-
only the differences in the Raw and SmackDown before were the SmackDown the Titantron where it cut in, Raw's flows out. Daniel says that he likes the Raw stage better, but it needs the door tweak. Yeah, agreed. And I personally like the SmackDown stage better. I think if we're rating every stage on a 1 to 10 scale, I give SmackDown a 9.5. I give AEW and Raw a 8, and I give NXT's a 6 just because it's all it is a fucking video board.
Yeah.
You know,
But
which
I-
is fine.
but I love
it's
the
supposed to
simplicity
feel
of
that
it.
way.
Like,
It's supposed to be like that. And we'll get into the Wednesday Night Wars in a minute, but it's supposed to have a feel of chill. This is an indie show. We're not trying to make this anything.
Yeah, we're not
extravagant.
going over
Look,
the top
is,
here.
This is
Yeah.
a fucking chill show. We have 1,000 people tops in our fucking arena, and this is that's the only reason why I would give it such a low because it's compared to the grandiose look of the other ones. And again, Raw would be higher than AEW's if that door was centered. I would probably put Raw at a 9. But yeah, so 9.5, 8 for both AEW and Raw, and a 6 for fucking NXT. Okay, now The Rock comes out, gives the biggest fucking rub ever to Baron Corbin. Nick, how did you feel about that opening segment of the first ever SmackDown on Fox?
I thought it was great. It felt really natural. It didn't feel, and The Rock's promos always feel really natural, but excuse me. I thought it was funny. It was, I didn't lose interest in it at all. Becky played off The Rock really well.
Hashtag Nas tender.
The comments The Rock was making about the crackhead Burger King and, STD. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm a little ashamed to admit this. At first, I didn't catch the STD thing when it was
Super
first,
tough dude.
when she said it is super tough dude, and I was like, okay. And then like 30 seconds later, I was like, oh shit, I see where they're going. Yeah,
I also didn't get it originally either.
yeah, but it was a great opening segment. It was a really good way to kick it off for sure. I enjoyed it.
Okay. Would you think it was possibly one of the better opening segments to any wrestling show?
Well, I would put it up there. I can't really recall many offhand, but I know that we have seen even this year some pretty good openings. But
Okay.
one of the better ones in recent history for sure. For sure.
Nas, for you, was this one of the better opening segments to a wrestling weekly television show that you've ever seen? Or does it rank in the top 10? Or is it like, no, it was good, but it wasn't the best?
It was good, but it wasn't the best.
Okay.
Lot of Becky pandering to The Rock instead of doing her own thing, which
I don't know about that. When she stole the "It Doesn't Matter," I don't think she was pandering. I think she was proving that this is my show now.
I did like the testicle remark where she's like, yeah, well, if I had some, they'd be bigger than yours anyway.
Yeah.
So that was cool, but I mean, I don't think this is the best opening. I mean, I would have to go through my index and go back, 30, 40 years. But I don't think this is the best opening to a show ever. Okay. It was good. I liked it.
Would you think it was possibly a top 10?
Before
even
but if
thinking about your
it
past?
was top 10, it might be like
Toward the bottom
9
10?
or 10.
Okay,
You know
that's
what I
fine,
mean?
yeah.
Kind of like the Undertaker for you, like maybe 11.
Undertaker's totally not top 10 wrestler.
Well,
for me.
12 then. But what I'm saying is, it was good, and it was a great way to start it off. And I mean, we even wanted Rock for WrestleMania, and we couldn't get him, but we got him for SmackDown Live. So that says something. You know what I mean?
It's just Friday Night SmackDown now.
Whatever the fuck you want to call it. SmackDown. But it's The Rock show. It was named after him. Have him on there. I mean, it was a great season premiere.
Okay.
As far as top 10 or anything, wrestling's one of those things that it's constantly changing. You're constantly adding new content. So yeah, maybe right now, but 10 years from now, no.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
All right. So let's talk ratings. The ratings for everything have come in, and there was a lot of conversation about the ratings for AEW and NXT for the Wednesday Night Wars. Well, being on broadcast television now, SmackDown has the most eyes on it over everyone, unless of course you have Dish, because apparently Dish dropped Fox. Dish and Sling.
And if you watch Fox, they tell you all about it.
Right. So I personally was in the mindset of SmackDown needed a 4 million rating, a 4 rating, 4 point whatever, for it to be considered spec-fucking-tacular great. But I totally did not remember about the Dish stuff. SmackDown pulled in a final rating. Again, this is huge numbers compared to what it has been, but 3.869 million viewers. I'm going to be very honest here. If Sling and thank you, sir. If Sling and Dish had it, you may have got that 4 for SmackDown. Is 3.8 million viewers your first ever episode? Back to baseball terms. Is it a single, a double, a triple, a home run, a walk-off grand slam? Nas.
Walk-off grand slam.
Yeah?
Simply because it's a Friday night and 3.8 million people tuned in. And that's without Dish and without all those added ones.
Nick, what do you think?
Well, I didn't think about it at first, but now I'm thinking about the comment that he made. let me take that back. The comment that the artist that used to be on the show made about
The
Friday
artist formerly
nights.
known as Z.
He made about Friday nights and having SmackDown
He
and the
who
ratings.
shall not be
and-
named.
Right.
We're not in good standings.
Z really pissed you
Hey,
guys
Callie.
off.
I don't necessarily.
Callie's here?
Nope, but she.
Do we have the same chest?
Way better.
Do I have the same chest as Z?
I can't tell your shirt's on.
I don't know Callie, so I can't comment on that.
All right. Continue.
The Callie I know, yes, Z, your chest is Nas, is your, yeah. So
Are you okay over there,
Are
man?
you looking with your
I
good
know
eye?
it's early. We normally don't do
Yeah.
a show this early.
no, yeah, I guess I would kind of agree with the whole walk-off Grand Slam because again, yeah, it is Friday. It's Friday night. Nobody watches TV anymore on Friday.
Hi, TT.
That I notice, you know what I mean? That I mean, they don't put good quality shows on Friday for a reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think those are really good numbers. Really good numbers.
I think it was a home run. I do not put it at a walk-off Grand Slam because a walk-off Grand Slam is probably the Fox execs nutting on themselves, and I think the only way to get that is you have to be higher than a 4.3. Like if you had almost 4.5 million people watching,
But considering the
That-
day too, that
but
I
no,
mean,
but even doesn't that, and that's part of that's why it's still a home run. It's still really fucking good.
we call it a
something that
2-run
it's-
home run or something.
Nope,
Like
it's a
walk-off
fu-
home
it's
run.
just it's a home run. The
Okay, fair
fans in
enough.
the stands are standing up, going "fuck yeah, hell yeah," high fiving and everything. But it's not a game-winning. Holy shit! I'm going home so fucking happy that I'm going to pour all my money into merch for this. It's good. It's really good. It's great. But the fact that you didn't cross 4 when normally you're just under 2, but it's your premiere. I'm not talking anything. If this 3.8 is pulled 4 months down the line on Fox, walk off Grand Slam. Because then you're still pulling in these numbers. This is a first episode premiere. You have The Rock, all of this stuff type numbers. 3.8 is a home run for Fox. Fox is very happy right now.
Yeah.
They aren't going, holy shit, let's re-sign it for 5 years because of the premiere, but they're going, holy shit, great fucking business call.
But they're putting a lot of, sorry to interrupt you, but they promote this on every one of their platforms. Like I was watching Fox 2 News earlier. They had a thing with John Cena about his new book promoting WWE.
He can't do this
They
anymore.
did their college thing yesterday, and every other commercial was about WWE. And then the announcer's like, "Oh yeah, that was a lot of fun last night. Check it out." Blah
Yeah.
blah.
Yeah.
So they're
And
putting
Thursday
a
Night
lot.
and Thursday Night Football had Roman Reigns on it. Yes,
They're putting a lot of promotion into this.
I agree. I 100% agree. But that's another reason why, as much promotion as you're putting in this, you didn't pull 4 million. I understand that
But on
this
a
is
Friday night, though, I
but-
mean, that's a big thing.
But I also agree that a Friday night does affect it. But your premiere episode, if they're staying equal around 3 million for the rest of the SmackDown run, I think Fox is happy.
No.
Especially on a Friday night.
I think they'll do higher numbers when high school football's over. High school football games start at 7:00. I'm just saying, like, especially in like southern towns where they
Yeah.
shut down the whole town and people
Right.
go. You're gonna make up those viewers as soon in another
Left
month.
side, strong side.
I'm just saying, like, demographic wise, like smaller southern communities are the ones that
Yeah.
watch wrestling.
Yeah.
So now,
Burp, burp.
Friday night, you don't see it. Now, I want to see the numbers live versus who watched it on DVR, who watched it after the fact. I also want to see those numbers for Wednesday because I think that makes a huge difference.
So SmackDown, let's look at, if you're going into their past shows, they've been pulling in 2 million viewers ever since August started. 2.088, 2.164 for the August 13th.
On
is
the
there,
Tuesday,
is there
though.
high? Yes, this is all the Tuesday stuff. And the 2.162 is the one that not the post Extreme Rules, the episode after that post. So it was like 2 weeks after Extreme Rules. Was their highest rating since in August, because they were in July, they were pulling in 1.8, 1.9, 1.9 on in May 7th, 1.8 on May 14th, 2 million May 28th and June 4th. 2.3 million was the March 26th episode, which I believe is their highest for 2019, until the October 4th episode on Friday on Fox. I had 3.869. Nice.
But also, that's not really fair to compare, only because not everybody gets USA Network.
No, yeah, I'm not.
Whereas everybody gets Fox.
Yeah,
Right.
but
Even if you
I'm
got
not
the
com-
digital
I'm not-
converter, you get Fox.
I'm not comparing it. What I'm saying is, so the jump there is spectacular. It's 84%, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
84% higher. Yeah, 84% higher than the week
It's
before.
83.998%.
So it's a huge number, and it's great. Home run for me. Now let's talk the numbers for AEW and NXT, because this is what a lot of people talk about. The Wednesday Night Wars. We have our good friend, our friend Brandon Tolle is going to be calling in about 10 minutes. So we'll just get into the ratings for this. I don't want to go too much of the shows. Viewership. NXT for the first hour that was on USA, its first week was 1.179. The next week was 1.006, still over a million. The first episode of NXT for the Wednesday Night Wars, when it was going up against AEW, was 891,000, right? AEW Dynamite pulled in 1.409 million viewers. Highest premiere for anything on TNT in the last 5 years.
Yeah, but WWE's never been on TNT.
But again, don't fanboy.
No,
That's the most fanboy comment.
when I
now.
was reading all these things, that's what I was thinking. I was like, yeah, but WWE's never been on TNT.
So, is 1.4 million viewers a walk-off Grand Slam for AEW? Is that Nas?
No.
Really?
I
You think 3.8 for SmackDown on a Friday night is a walk-off Grand Slam, and 1.4 for AEW is not?
also okay. We're talking different nights of the week.
Okay.
I think it's good. I think it's a walk-off home run as far as a walk-off Grand Slam. Yeah, I don't think so.
So walk-off home run.
Yeah, because and part of the reason they don't get the Grand Slam is because I kind of expected more people to watch the first ever episode of AEW on TV than to watch NXT. Now,
Really? Wait, more than they watched the first episode of NXT on USA? Did you expect that?
yes,
Okay.
because people aren't okay. People that watch NXT have the network, and I've been thumbing through responses on different wrestling pages and such, and one of the guys was like, "Yeah, but I can stream NXT anytime. Like I have to watch AEW live." Okay, that makes sense. That's also
Again, you don't have to DVR, but
well,
right,
right, but assuming
right, yeah.
this guy doesn't have it, whatever. But it made a little bit of sense because myself, I watched AEW live because it was the first ever show. But I went back and watched NXT directly after. Like AEW ended, then I watched NXT. And personally, I'm one of the statistics that watched it live, but I thought NXT was a better show.
Right, well, and we'll get into that later. Yeah.
But as far as like a walk-off Grand Slam, if they continue these numbers, yes, absolutely. But for your first show, it was kind of expected.
Okay, Nick, for you, walk-off Grand Slam, walk-off home run, triple, double, single,
Ground roll,
ground
double.
ground out, strikeout.
Foul tip.
Hit by pitch.
Amazing defensive catch.
Brandon Inge.
No home runs in the home run derby. How do you rate this?
Yeah, I think I would agree with the walk-off home run. I think that the dip in NXT kind of pushed some viewers over to AEW because it was their first show.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
So,
I mean, yeah. I'll be
know?
very honest. You're right. The majority of people watched the premiere episode of AEW Dynamite.
But I think, I don't think they could have did very much more than that because it wasn't being promoted as heavily as SmackDown was. They're not as established as WWE.
What are you talking about? I was watching AEW commercials during WWE events.
Yeah, but again, these are on cable networks.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But Raw's still pulling in 2 point whatever.
But, the familiarity, people know what WWE is. I think that the average consumer that never has watched wrestling would probably be more apt to watch WWE because they know they've been around their whole life as opposed to AEW. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's a win for sure. Walk-off home run. And, honestly, it could probably only go up from there. I don't think it'll go up a ton. Like, we won't see 3.8 million people watching AEW anytime soon. But, I think they hit the ground running.
Well, again, I would like to see these numbers at the end of the week.
Yeah.
Like with the DVRs, with the on-demands, with the live, add all that together and then give me a number because, I mean, in today's day and age, this isn't like the Monday Night Wars. We didn't have DVRs back in the Monday Night Wars, so you had to watch one or the other, or you had to channel flick, and if you channel flicked, you missed the other one.
Yep.
Whereas...
And if the president was on, your night was shot.
Or the dog show.
Fucking Westminster dog show.
But
that pissed me off.
Nowadays, I can literally not watch anything Monday through Friday and sit there Saturday and watch it all. Like, where does my vote count? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So to that, like, I guess we'll see. I mean, a ratings win in your first week. All right, cool. And I think AEW is making a bigger deal about it than it really is.
Yeah.
But, this is what you set out to do. This is what you're doing. Yeah, okay, run with it. But I have a feeling it's going to, just like anything else, it's going to even itself out over time.
I think this is a walk-off Grand Slam for AEW. Because biggest premiere on TNT in 5 years for any episode, for any show, I think that's huge. I
Quick,
think,
name the rest of the shows on TNT. You can't.
All of the fucking SVUs are on there. Anyway, no.
No, they're not.
Yeah, I know they're on US. But
different network.
But it doesn't matter because if you're drawing in the biggest rating for any television show debut, that's huge, especially within 5 years. It was the 1.4 million viewers when your fucking pre-show the night before the road to AEW Dynamite the night before pulled in over 600,000 viewers. That's a road to. That's like here's what's been going on the past couple of years.
Jericho also announced on Twitter and Instagram that he would be announcing his mystery partners on said show. So I'm sure that helped with that rating.
Yeah, but again, still 600,000 people on that, and then 110% more people watched the actual show. I think it's a walk-off Grand Slam. Again, if you average 1 million viewers every week versus NXT, I think you're doing great fucking numbers. Mm-hmm. I think that AEW pulled in a number that was spectacular for them. And that's what I'm talking about, for them. Is this touching SmackDown? Is it touching Raw? No. Raw fucking pulled in a 2.5 on Monday for their season premiere. Highest in 3 months. The only thing that the show with more ratings than that before this was the one right after SummerSlam.
Oh, so it wasn't Pacific Blue?
No.
Okay, got it.
So,
Pac Blue.
But that's, so what I'm saying is for AEW on TNT, 1.4 is way more than you would have thought. I was like, man, I hope they get 1 million.
Yeah, but a walk-off Grand Slam in your first game of the season is
It's
not
still
that
a win.
impressive. I mean,
It's
no,
still a win.
it's
But
great.
it's still
It's a
a
great
win.
way to start the season.
But that's all I'm saying.
But
It's a win.
let's see
There's
where they go from
believability.
here.
I agree with that, but it's the same thing with SmackDown. 3.8, I think is a home run. I don't think I think it should have been over 4 to be a walk-off Grand Slam. If you average 3 million throughout your fucking tenure on Fox,
Well, that's 10
awesome.
years.
No, your tenure, not your 10.
No, but they signed a 10-year contract, so your tenure would be 10 years.
All right, so again, but if you're averaging 3 million, I think it's great. For AEW pulling in a 1.4, now you have to average about a 1.1, 1 million for it to be considered still really fucking good ratings, right? NXT having that 1.1 to start, like it blew NXT at 1.179, so almost 1.2. So this blew NXT's premiere out of the fucking water. You know, NXT needs to hold 1 million rating, 900,000 rating for it to be considered a success now.
But NXT will be just fine.
I
I think we all know that, but
which is fine. Let me open this up. Sign in. Oh, God damn it. I don't know. Hold on. Damn it. I was like, fuck, hold on. So, referee Brandon Tolle is supposed to be calling in, but unfortunately.
Well, I think that a lot of people that didn't buy these AEW pay-per-views, with the exception, I know a couple of them were free or whatever, they were waiting to see, and they tuned in because of the fact that they didn't. They're like, I'm not going to fucking pay $50 for this.
yeah. But even look what we said about all the AEW pay-per-views. Like Double or Nothing was good, and everything from there was eh. I mean, it wasn't shit, but it wasn't great. You know what I mean? It wasn't the original All Out numbers.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's kind of tailspin. Is that the correct word? Like,
yeah,
with
downward
Baloo?
spiral.
yeah, no, it's been like a downward spiral since then. It was Double or Nothing. We also were like, especially like Fyter Fest was shit, and I mean not complete shit, but close to it.
Yeah.
What was the other one? Fyter
Fight
Fest?
for the Fallen.
Yeah, Fight for the Fallen. That was
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I have other issues with AEW as far as like their ranking system and shit goes. Like now I'm really confused with some shit, especially like with Pac-Man and stuff like that. Like, all right, like where do you go from here?
Right.
Like you have 2 people that are undefeated, or technically 3 that are undefeated in AEW. And then you have other ones that have been introduced and haven't wrestled.
I want to know when they're going to talk about the rankings.
They did. They started about it when after
really,
after Hangman and Pac.
They never really established.
They're like, oh, Pac's now 2-0.
Right.
Yeah.
Blah blah, and Cody's 3-0.
But like, why? It's like that's all that matters.
Well, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Referee Brandon Tolle is about to call in right now. We're going to talk some of the officiating issues with AEW. Obviously, all of him.
Some of the officiating issues.
Yep, some of. We're not going to go into too much to it. We're going to talk about how he's one of the main Evolve referees. Our good friend Chris Bonjour has set him up for us. All right, let's talk. You are live on Breaking Down the Ring. Are we speaking to the one, the only, the amazing referee, Brandon Tolle?
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody.
What's up?
It is now afternoon, yes, for us. Is it afternoon for you where you reside, sir?
No, it is still morning where I reside, but close enough. So.
Nice. Mr. Tolle, first off, thank you so much for calling in. It's a pleasure talking to you. You are doing many great things on the referee scene. You're one of the people that referee Jimmy Corderas put over in a tweet about some of the amazing officials that he feels are being underutilized. But, sir, underutilized. You're on Evolve. You're doing all of the Impact tapings and Impact shows, Bound for Glory in Chicago on October 20th, Evolve 135 and 136, October 11th and 12th. Then the Impact TV tapings at the end of October in Windsor. And as well as Shimmer and doing Progress, Chapter 98 in London on November 24th. How is the referee schedule treating you? Because it seems like the referee schedule is as intense and insane as a professional wrestler schedule.
It is. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm still an independent contractor, so I am free to work pretty much wherever I want. So it's basically me and to the hustle that I have, and for all the years that I've been doing this, and the business relationships I've put together with the different companies to generate some really good opportunities, like going back over to London in November working for Progress. The 2 days before that, I'm debuting for WXW in Gotha and Dresden, Germany. And to be able to do Impact and to keep on their schedule, Evolve, and the Evolve schedule, It's just like anybody else that's that is a 1099. I only have to answer to one person, and I have to answer to myself. And so I just decided that I want to see the world. So I am making it my endeavor to try to do so.
Which is awesome, and especially you're working for such great companies, on the rise companies, especially right now with Impact starting their television tapings on Tuesday nights on Access TV. Evolve, which a lot of people are saying is the brand new kind of developmental for WWE, because since NXT has moved to a 2-hour show on USA. As a referee, is there a company that you specifically just love more because of like the backstage aura, or is all of it different enough to where you feel the same type of goosebumps and flair type things for being there in that area?
That's a tough question because, each company obviously is going to do business in their own way. So it's more of, so Evolve, no pun intended, actually, has evolved over the years. I've been with Evolve for over 8 years now. And I've been through pretty much every incarnation in that company, back to when records mattered, to the incarnation of the Evolve title, to the incarnation that was the more the ground based, the more wrestling, like Timothy Thatcher, who just won the WXW title, Sabre Jr., Walter, Drew Gulak, those guys, to now where we are in this relationship with WWE via NXT. And now, so you're seeing a mix of up-and-comers from the independents and a couple of mainstays from Evolve, and then you're seeing the NXT guys as they are coming in. So it's really it's ice cream, basically. If you want that flavor of ice cream for you. Impact has. We actually, and I saw it a couple weeks ago, we released a T-shirt based off of this. Impact Wrestling, hard to kill. We're never going to die. So, that is, a company that has been around for so many years, and, we continuously put on banger show after banger show after banger show after quality TV after quality pay-per-view. But when we don't get the recognition that I feel that we should be getting as a company for what we've been doing over the past couple of years, well, now we have the platform coming where we're going to be on that big platform with Access TV to be able to showcase that to, you name it. There is no set standard now of what a company is going to bring to the table or what a locker room is going to be like. It's all different flavors of ice cream, and that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of how, when you look at the landscape now of the wrestling business, now that we are in, my opinion, the next wrestling boom as of this past week. And when you look at the landscape of everything that's on television, whether it's Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Impact, AEW, whatever the case may be, it's all different flavors of ice cream.
Yes.
So it's take your pick. Based on what you like, take your pick.
So I wanted to ask you, Impact has been getting a lot of recognition for the type of match quality and everything going on, with Tessa Blanchard being in a main event on the pay-per-view, in an intergender match, to just the movement of everything. A lot of our good friends here in Michigan are now starting to be heavily featured on Impact. Our good friend Rohit Raju, he's definitely a big player in there. Impact now coming in on a Tuesday night, in between the Monday Night Raw and the Wednesday Night Wars. Do you think that Impact has enough to keep up with the ratings boom? Because everyone's talking ratings right now, with SmackDown pulling that 3.8 and the 1.4 for AEW Dynamite, especially being on Access TV, which before was a huge home to New Japan Wrestling when it was doing all of the stuff with them. Do you think that Impact has enough to keep up in the ratings, and down the line with the product, do you think it could possibly take over in popularity from one of these shows?
I don't think ratings really matter in a sense. Once again, I like to go back to my flavors of ice cream comment. You know, when you look at it, I mean, people can like more than one type of ice cream.
Right.
So, you know, I mean, let's look at it from the aspect of, I mean, WWE's, you know, the top dog. They're the number one game in town.
Right.
Why should we try to compete with it? And I think in an Impact, honestly, I think it's been one of the things that has been one of the biggest upswings is we're not competing with WWE. We do not see WWE as competition. We're doing our own thing. We're staying in our own lane. And that's what gives us the ability to be able to do what we want, you know, and to be able to have the television that we want, creating an alternative, you know, and creating, we don't, you know, I mean, obviously in the nature of business, there's going to be competition and that benefits everybody, but not competition necessarily think, hey, we need to overtake this company or, hey, you know, I mean, we've all learned, I mean, you know, we look back to the last wrestling war. I mean, that was one of the detriments to WCW was that they were bent on putting WWE out of business. It didn't happen. And what ultimately happened was, so we're going to do in Impact, we're going to do our own thing.
We lost you for a second there. I'm sorry for interrupting. We lost you for a second there. Just on the what ultimately happened was.
Well, that was WCW went out of business.
Okay, yeah.
So we're going to stay in our own lane. We're going to do our own thing. We're going to cultivate our product for what we're doing and not with the intent of trying to overtake another company. I mean, if the quality is there and the in-ring is there, it's going to draw eyes. Obviously it has, considering all the buzz that we've been getting, you know, for what we've been doing the past couple of years. And now that's put us in the position to be able to now be on a bigger platform with Access TV. So I wouldn't necessarily think of us sitting around, and I say we're not sitting around looking at, hey, can we overtake who is perceived to be ahead of us? That doesn't do us any good. Why worry about what's going on in someone else's home when you need to worry about your home first?
Right, exactly. Now, that being said, you're working the Evolve show coming up, Evolve 135 in Atlanta, Evolve 136 in Charlotte. When you get to Evolve, obviously it's a much smaller setting than the Impact and stuff. Do you prefer these type of settings, or do you prefer the larger crowd for yourself?
It doesn't really matter to me because that doesn't change how I work. It doesn't change what I do bell to bell. I mean, you know, whether it's a smaller crowd at Evolve or like when I was in New York a few weeks ago, and I had the fortune to see and the opportunity to work the AAA show at the Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden. And that was, I think, somewhere around 4,000 or so that was there. I didn't get the official number. I think it was somewhere in that ballpark. And that's this point is the largest crowd I've ever worked in front of. So it doesn't really matter to me. It doesn't change the way I approach what I do. And it doesn't, you know, I mean, obviously there may be that moment where you hear the roar or something like that and you have like a goosebumps sort of moment. But from an in-ring standpoint, it doesn't really change. It doesn't really matter to me because you want to give the fans the best product possible and you want to give them the best show possible. And so you can't really change the way you operate regardless of crowd size.
Okay. So now let's talk a little bit about something that we have had a major problem with in professional wrestling currently. AEW has, to us, and apparently a lot of people, even your friend Jimmy Corderas has had conversations about this. The officiating in AEW seems to be, I don't want to say it sucks, right?
Lacking.
I don't even want to say it's lacking. The thing with it is hasn't been on, for us, the audience, a set rule situation to where we know what to follow. And so therefore things like Jon Moxley coming in and attacking Kenny Omega at the end of AEW Dynamite, the no countouts for the women's championship match, but the chair had to be pulled out of Nyla Rose's hand, to the point where even back on the free pay-per-views they were showing, when Marco Stunt was involving himself in the Luchasaurus and Jungle Boys match, and the ref saying, no, you can't do that, but Luchasaurus going, yeah, you can, and then Marco Stunt being involved. Do you think that this is a problem for AEW and could affect them in a negative way in the future, or are we just seeing things that need to be ironed out?
It just, I mean, it's really going to depend on what the brain trust at AEW has. I mean, whether it's something that they've considered or if it's something that they plan to address. I mean, I'm not in those conversations, obviously, so I don't know. But it's, once again, it's a different flavors of ice cream concept, you know? I mean, but obviously, if there's such an uproar about it, and in all fairness, I have not seen anything AEW related, so I can't speak to whether they have actually gone out and actually formally addressed, whether it's via commentary or something in some kind of a platform to be able to say, hey, these are our differentiators in our rules. An example would be in Evolve, and we've made it known. Now, there's still some people out there that'll still try to, ride the refs for this. But in Evolve, we don't have count out outside the ring. It's referee's discretion on a disqualification. So with not having a count out, I reserve the right to handle that how I see fit, whether I want to throw the match out on a DQ or not. But we had to make that known that is something that we do specifically at Evolve.
Right.
So it's going to come down to, has AEW been able to actually specifically address that, or is it something that, I mean, who knows? You know what I mean? Once again, I'm not in those conversations, so I don't know whether it's something they plan to address or something they don't plan to address. But I mean, you see a lot of talk about it because it's just ambiguous. So it's going to come down to what is the direction that they are going to take, and hopefully that clears up some of the ambiguity behind it. But once again, it's a flavors of ice cream concept. But still, if it's a different flavor of ice cream, you have to define what your flavor is.
Understandable. Now, I want to ask you a little bit about your background. Reffing doesn't seem to be it sounds to me as something where you kind of fall into, but is it something that you want to do, or were you trying to be like a professional wrestler and someone else used you as a referee? Where did you get your start in the business?
I got my start down in Southern Kentucky. Down in my first show was in a little town called Hazard, Kentucky, way down in the southeastern part of Kentucky. Because I'm born and raised. I'm sorry for interrupting Cincinnati.
Real quick. Hazard, like the Dukes of Hazard?
Yes,
Nice.
it's HAZARD. Hazard,
Nice.
Kentucky.
Awesome.
All right, continue. I'm sorry.
Everyone has that story. Like Mick Foley, like they talked about it when he won his first WWE title. Like his first show was in Pinewood, West Virginia. Like everybody's got that story. There's that just really weird out of the way town that they had their first show in. So mine was Hazard, Kentucky, and I had been training, paying my dues. So it was through a Christian company that's no longer around. But I was training, and then I would go to shows, build rings, pay dues, train, and I was bumping, and I was learning how to be a wrestler. There wasn't really a defined career path at that point. It was just getting feet wet and just learning. And I went to a show, and the promoter at the show had forgot to book a referee. So my trainer was on the show, and he came up to me and he's like, "Do you want to ref?" And I was like, "Yeah, I have stripes with me." So I got in the ring and did my, because I did my first show. Because part of the training, at least the training that I did, was not only bumping and all that, but I mean, it's you got to know the rules, and you got to know how to play within the rules to learn how to bend the rules or to learn how to break the rules. You have to know what box you're playing in.
Right. Yeah.
So knowing a solid foundation, went in and did the show and got in the ring, and I was the only ref that night. So my first show was an Iron Man, and it just felt natural when I got in there, and my trainer was just stunned. And when I got back to the back, my trainer just looked at me after the show. He's like, "I think we found your calling." And I was like, "I agree." So, I mean, even after that, I still trained in how to bump, because I still need to be able to protect myself. I mean, once you step through those ropes, anything can happen. You know, and we've seen it over time. I mean, you know, you look at Tommy Young, and Tommy Young's career ended on a freak accident. That wasn't like something that, you know, you plan for. So you have to be able to protect yourself within there. So, I mean, I still bumped and learned how to do rolls and stuff like that because, you know, just to protect myself. But at that point, it became more just starting to learn the craft of refereeing and the finer points and, you know, really, you know, just taking it as this is my career path now, and I want to make the absolute most out of it. So that is kind of how I got my start many moons ago.
And refs that bump are the best refs.
Yeah, easily.
Bumping is an art form. I mean, it can be done very well and it can be done very poorly.
It's like a flavor of ice cream,
you know. But or bumping too much. You know, bumping too much is also, you know, it can also be my opinion, can be a detriment to it as well. But I mean, it's just, once again, it's you know, we as referees, we have, you know, I like to think of it, tools in a tool bag to be able to help tell the story that's being told in the ring. You know, my name's never going to be on a marquee. My name is never going to sell tickets to a show, but I can be in there to help the talent tell the story, whatever story it is that they're telling. And I can use the tools that I've learned from my craft over the years to be able to help that and to be able to accent whatever story is being told on a nightly basis. And I take a lot of pride in saying that I'm very, very good at what I do and being able to be there for the talent, but not be a distraction from the story that they are telling.
So, as a referee, obviously, it is a situation to where, you know, many times you want the referee is the one who is to be seen, you know, but not heard. Like he blends into the match seamlessly is one of the things that we have always been talked or seen. Is there anyone that you think does it the best, or do you think, you know, I'm the fucking best? Because, you know, you're allowed to put yourself over.
Well, there are people that have done it way longer than I have that have done it way better than I have on higher levels. So, like when I had caught wind that Jimmy had mentioned me in that tweet, and I responded, and I was very honored to be mentioned in the group of that, because actually Jimmy, obviously we all know where he's been and what he's done, but I had the fortune of working with Jimmy, I think on one of his first shows out after he left WWE. It was for Border City Wrestling, or I think it was Maximum Pro Wrestling or Max Pro at the time when I was working up in Canada. So I've known Jimmy for a long time, so I appreciated the compliment from him. But I mean, when I look at wrestling, I agree. The best ref is one that's not seen, because then it means more when the ref becomes part of it, whether it's with whatever the case may be, when it's time for us to be able to help tell that story, however it may be. But I mean, when I say look at the refs on there now, I talk about guys like Jason Ayers, who's on SmackDown Live. I talk about Chad Patton, John Cone. And then I also say go back and watch the old school stuff. Watch Earl Hebner when he was in his prime, not Earl Hebner, TNA or anything like that. Watch Earl when he was in his prime. Tommy Young. You know, go back and watch. Why is his name blanking me real quick?
Because
Nick
we put
Patrick.
you on the spot. That's
just I'm trying to was wrecking my brain. But
Tim White. Talking about Tim White.
Danny Davis.
Say again.
We're talking about Tim
Danny
White.
Davis. Yeah, Danny Davis. Watch Jimmy's stuff. Like I like to you can never. And I say this as a ref because I'm never going to be able to duplicate and be Jimmy Corderas or be Earl Hebner or be, you know, Nick Patrick or Chad Patton or Jason. I can't be them, but I can take stuff of everybody's and figure out what works best for me to be able to be the best that I can, to at least be put in that conversation and learn from the people that have paved the path ahead of me. And that's really what I've done is is try to be a little bit of everything. I mean, you know, personally for me, I'm old school at heart. I'm in 80s. I'm in my mid 30s. I'm a mid 80s baby. So, I mean, my heart still is in the 80s and the 90s, 90s wrestling. But I definitely, I took a little bit from here. Like, I have a big booming voice. And if anybody's been in a show or in a big hollow building, hear my voice at every part of the room. And I kind of took that from Earl Hebner. You could always hear Earl's voice when he was working matches in his prime. Whether it was a command or a count or anything like that. I took a little bit of that. I used to count before I had shoulder surgery a few years ago. I used to count on my side, and that was more of a Scott Armstrong thing that I did that I liked. That kind of worked me. So I just take little bits of here, little bits of there, and just kind of meld it, see what fits.
All right.
Just like a wrestler in that sense, you take a little bit of what you do well and mix it with a little bit of your own and kind of make it your own.
Exactly. Yeah. And the thing is this, because you never want to be the second of anything. You want to be the first of something.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So, and I can never do like Jason Ayers. I could never do Jason Ayers better than Jason Ayers. It's just never going to happen. Right. You know, I can never do Earl Hebner better than Earl Hebner. So why try to be second at anything when I want to be the best at something? And so I'm going to be the best me that I can.
Now, the final question that I have for you is obviously you've done Evolve. We talked about Impact, but you're also being a ref for some of the Shimmer shows. Is there a difference in reffing an all women show versus a mixed gender show, or is is a women's match different, or is it basically I'm the same? I'm here to blend in no matter what, if it's a men's match or a women's match.
No, it doesn't change. I'm there to do my job, and I'm there to help tell the story, and I'm here to help to blend in. That, you know, I'd like to think that's kind of one of my strengths as a referee, especially nowadays in the landscape of professional wrestling that we're in. Is I'm the ref that is forgettable. I'm the ref that you may know, like a Bryce Remsburg, or you may know other refs, but even though I've been around for years, you keep saying who is him, or nobody knows who you are. Like, I can just blend into a crowd, you know, and not get noticed. That's perfect, because that means I'm doing my job right. I'm not a gimmick. I'm not becoming a center of attention until it's time to. Right. It doesn't, the type of wrestling, whether it's, you know, straight female, whether it's all male, whether it's intergender, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change the way I work. It's still the same premise. I go in with the same mindset, with the same goals. My work is the same. It's consistent, regardless of where you go. Obviously, different companies may have different rule changes, like we talked about with Evolve earlier, but it doesn't really change the way I approach it, regardless of where it is, whether it's Shimmer, Evolve, Impact, Progress, WXW. It doesn't matter across. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change the way I approach it.
Nice. We ask one final question for everyone that calls into our show, and that question is about ribs. In professional wrestling, ribs are part of the fun locker room culture. Is it the same type of thing for refs? And if so, what is the best rib that you have ever pulled on somebody, and what is the best rib that anyone's ever pulled on you?
I gotta think about this for a moment. Ribs, to be honest, like, ribs are just kind of like, ribs are just kind of just, I don't want to say they're of an era gone by, but it's not something that is done like it was a long time. Like, the business has changed from, like, because you hear all the stories from the 80s and all that, when guys, there wasn't internet, there wasn't phone access like there is now. Like, it was just them. And the business has changed a lot now, obviously, with the advent of technology and everything like that. So, you know, ribs don't really happen a whole lot. I myself, I'm not a ribber. I have a very dry sense of humor. So I'm one of the last people in the world that you'll ever see pull a rib on anybody, because I'm not good at doing it, and you'll see it coming a mile away. So I don't really have a good story of a rib I pulled because it's not me. I can tell you the story of a rib that I saw pulled that I thought was funny.
Yes,
back
please.
in 2000, oh good Lord, 2000 and I think it might have been 2008. I was at a TNA house show the night before they did the pay-per-view in Oshawa, Ontario.
Auschwitz?
They had a house show in London. They had a house show in London, Ontario.
Okay.
And it was Abyss and Rhino in a singles match. And I was backstage at the house show, and I was watching through the curtain, just watching straight down the aisle. And Rhino had Abyss in a rest hold. And as they were laying there, I see some movement, and I look, and I'm like, what is he doing? Well, Abyss is just in the rest hold, starts to unlace Rhino's boot right there in the middle of the ring. And he's oblivious to it. He doesn't know it because Abyss is bigger, like he's taller than him, so he's not seeing. So this goes on till Abyss gets about halfway down his boot, and then Rhino picks up on it, and eventually gets to the road, and they continue on. But now here's Rhino working the rest of this match with half of his boot undone and his laces just hanging out right there around it because he was just oblivious to it for about a minute and a half or so while they were in this rest hold. On that one, I was just like, wow, just out of nowhere, just no reason, nothing happened before that to warrant it. It was just out of nowhere, just okay. Hey, I'm just gonna start unlacing this guy's boot right here in the middle of this rest hold.
That's fucking nuts, man.
The original RKO out of nowhere.
Right. All right, Mr. Tolle,
Exactly.
thank you. We want to say thank you so much for calling in and talking with us here on Breaking Down the Ring. Let the people know where they can find you on social media and what you have coming up next.
I do not have a Facebook. I have not had a Facebook for almost 10 years now.
Good for you.
Attaboy.
Good for you.
One of the few, but my Twitter is at Ref Brandon Tolle, Tolle. I got Evolve next weekend, Charlotte and Atlanta, and then Chicago, Bound for Glory the weekend after that. Actually, it's 3 days. We got Prelude to Glory on Friday in South Bend, Indiana. We have All Glory Saturday in Marionette Park, Illinois, and then Bound for Glory on Sunday, the 20th, and then coming back to Detroit neck of the woods, Windsor for TV, for Impact TV, the 25th and the 26th, and Evolve's back in the Detroit area. We're up in Livonia. I think it's December the 7th. I think it's Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. It's the December 7th. So we're going to be back up in the Detroit area for a little bit coming up. So I will have to ask. If any Tigers fans?
Yes.
No?
Yep.
Not this year.
I'm a Tiger fan every year.
I understand the feeling. It comes and goes. There was a time where I was working up in Detroit and Windsor more than I was anywhere else. So I actually I've done a couple of Tigers home openers. I have actually in my closet. I was just moving stuff around here at home a couple weeks ago. I've got a Verlander and a Granderson home Detroit jersey.
Awesome.
Just in my closet still from like 10 years ago. And I just looked at it, I was like, wow. I was like, man, the days of Granderson playing there. So I thought I'd throw that out there. So, follow the Tigers a little covertly, but, so catch me in Detroit, Windsor coming up here in October, November, December. Be around. So thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Mr. Tolle. Thank you again so much for calling in, and we hope to see you in the near future. When the Evolve comes into town, we're going to be there at the show.
Absolutely. Take care, guys.
All right, you too, sir. Have a good one. Bye.
Thanks.
All right, bye-bye.
Man, scrolling through his Twitter, just a sidecast, sorry. 20 years ago, Gorilla Monsoon passed away. Jesus Christ.
Oh,
20 years today?
Yeah. Wow, it doesn't seem like it was that long ago.
Right? Nothing seems like that long ago.
I guess I was 12, so that's about right.
So we mentioned talking with Mr. Brandon Tolle, referee, about some of the issues that we have with the officiating in AEW, and I fully agree that if AEW put out this is our rule list. Mm-hmm. This is what we feel. We're not going to do countouts. Like he said, Evolve doesn't do countouts. That's fine. But there was no count out for the
But all we get from
women's
AEW is the ref's discretion.
Yeah. And so, but they pulled the chair from Nyla using it on Riho.
Because you
but
can use the chair, you just cannot have contact with the chair.
Right. Yeah. So, but they pull the chair away from Nyla, but at the same time, when Mox comes in and completely batters Kenny Omega in front of the referee,
but
so Daniel, I was talking with Daniel from Pro Wrestling Scorecards about this, and he goes, "Well, I don't technically notice it that much because on a lot of indie shows, if the person's not the legal competitor, they do not." It's not a disqualification. I'm like, I understand that. And he said, what about when a manager pulls someone off of the apron so they can't be tagged in front of the ref? And I'm like, well, then the ref usually throws the manager out from ringside. Like, you can't be here.
Right.
I said, but it's also completely different. Someone being pulled by their foot to not get a tag versus someone getting completely fucking obliterated in front of the referee. So that being said, with the officiating and everything in AEW, did it bother anyone else as much as it did me? And Nas, we'll start with you.
You're talking about just in general?
In general, the officiating in AEW.
Okay.
I'll be very honest. Aubrey, I think it's Audrey.
I think it's Audrey.
Audrey. For AEW, the woman that
She's
they have,
the best ref
she's
they
fucking
have.
spectacular.
Yeah. But and I've said this before to my little Mexican homies back home, that they need to come up with a guideline or a framework or something, because since AEW's inception, they're like, oh, it's up to the ref's discretion. Well, we haven't had a single count out, and we haven't had a single disqualification where clearly, from what we know about professional wrestling, there's some clear disqualifications in here that are just getting overlooked, which is fine. Again, a rule list would be nice.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, even SmackDown did it.
But
Like,
at the same
for the
time,
casual
though,
wrestling fan that was watching SmackDown for the first time, they put up the rules of a ladder match.
Right, yeah.
Granted, to us, we know what the fuck a ladder match is.
But they do that with, even when we're at a pay-per-view for WWE, they do that.
Because
sometimes they change the rules and they want you to know what the rules are.
Right, and then on top of that, also, there's people that are watching this for the first time ever. Like, okay, so if you're watching AEW, right, let's be very honest. There are people that watched AEW
For the very first time. Never, ever.
That never haven't watched wrestling in years, because after the Attitude Era, they kind of soured on it and they kind of went away from it because the Ruthless Aggression Era and the PG era, like, I don't like this wrestling. WWE is just becoming too like a vanilla flavor. So I want to watch. I want to watch.
Not Napoleon. We don't get three different flavors.
I want to watch something different. So there's nothing else different to watch. I'm going to watch some of the indie stuff. Now, you come into AEW because it's the first time on TNT in years that wrestling has been on, and it's fucking Dusty's kids are running. Dusty's kid is top guy in it. I'm in.
Baby's kids.
So you watch AEW, but it's the first time, so you don't know the rule set. There are people that watch SmackDown on Fox for the first time, maybe even ever. And so they give you a rule list so you understand it. AEW just right now seems like it's like we're throwing shit at the wall and we're hoping it sticks, but we don't care if you can follow it. Nick, is it a problem for you?
Yeah.
Even as a seasoned wrestling fan.
Yeah, because, again, I mean, even as, like, okay, a non-seasoned wrestling fan, they're looking at it as, what are they basing their idea of what professional wrestling is fucking WWE. No matter what way you look at it.
That's your framework. I mean,
that's your framework. So you know, if somebody comes in the ring, no matter if they're
for the most part, let's say for the most,
as far as the layout of the rules,
there's 10% of the people that stopped watching WWE, but will still watch New Japan, will still watch Ring of Honor, and stuff like that.
But New Japan's still a 20 count.
Yeah,
like
again, yep.
Right.
But continue, Nick.
So for the most part, they understand that if somebody else comes into the ring, whether they're in the match or not, and they attack one of the participants, the fucking match ends in disqualification, no matter what the circumstance. Typically, unless it's a no DQ match. So AEW, yes, should have set some kind of precedence. These are, and you know what? Put it on the screen. Put it on a graphic. Say, here's a singles match. Here are the rules. Point. Doesn't have to be a lot, but at the referee's discretion. But so if you had set that standard, no one can interfere with the match. Otherwise, it will end as a disqualification at the referee's discretion. That's fine if you want to use that term.
But
you have to set a precedent. You have
to set the discretion where
yes.
it's, yeah.
Yeah, and with that being said, so far in AEW's inception, you should have had at least
Such a good movie.
one disqualification to kind of show you where the bar is.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, this is the bar. Some might go above it. Some might go below it. But but like this is what we consider a disqualification to the ref's discretion. But we haven't had that so far. So I have a feeling that the first time a ref disqualifies somebody or counts somebody out, it's going to be like a ref heel or face turn at that point. Like, oh, what the fuck is this guy doing? Like, we've never had this before.
Yeah, I agree. So talking in AEW Dynamite, Nas, let's talk to you. What were your overall feelings for the show?
Okay, so I watched this show twice.
Okay.
And the first time, I was really upset with it. Second time going back, I paid more attention. I was upset with 5 things. I was upset with, in each match, there was at least one botch.
Okay, before we continue that, let me be very honest. I'm on the mindset that a botch should happen in matches. Why? Because if it starts to look too fluid, too practice, then like in a real fight, shit fucks up. Right?
That I do understand.
Now, at the same time, there's a huge difference with glaring botches.
Uh-huh.
And I will completely, like the Nyla Riho, there was a glaring botch.
Yep.
So, continue.
All right. So, I mean, like Cody and Sammy, there was the botch where Sammy does a flip, doesn't land it, right? That's going to happen. That I understand.
Mm-hmm.
But with that being said, there was at least one botch in each match.
Okay.
And I'm just looking at their competitor. It's more fluid. It looks better. My second complaint was with the refs. What's a count out? What's a DQ? Yeah. Like, I don't care that there wasn't a disqualification or a count out, but I need to be clear what is and what isn't going forward.
Right.
Number 3 was there was no difference between the All Out and the Dynamite stages, which isn't a problem now, but going forward, I would like to see at least the slight difference.
Right. Okay.
Number 2 was the Jack Swagger attacking after the match. So every time they've introduced new talent in AEW so far, it's always been somebody showing up after a match, and it's been the same. What's that word? Formulaic.
Formulaic, yeah.
Yep. That
good word.
And
Great
they
word.
want to be different, but they're doing the same thing over and over again.
Right.
And number 1, I forget what number 1 was. I really do. Oh, number 1 was the no DQ for the last match. Like, clearly somebody like Moxley comes into the ring, beats the hell out of Omega, like in the ring, like not outside of the ring, not where the ref isn't looking, not in the stands, like takes him out of the ring. They beat each other up into the stands, and the camera actually goes onto them away from the match, which is still going on, but there's no disqualification called at all.
I would have been happier if Moxley would have came out at the end of the match, and we'd be dealing with the end of the match shit like Nas is talking about here with Jack Hager, Wax Slagger, whatever the fuck
They
his
took
name
the S
is.
out of his name because he can't say it.
Right.
Yes,
so
exactly.
With them and created and established himself as a heel with that whole party, that would have been better to me than him jumping in the middle of the match and just causing a ruckus, and then all of a sudden, okay, why isn't the fucking match ending in disqualification?
Right. So what were your overall feelings of the show, Nick?
It was good. It was good. It wasn't great. I thought NXT was better, but it was a good show. There were a couple points where I was kind of like, all right, like the women's match, I kind of lost interest in that. But the
Real quickly.
promos were fine. The little vignettes that happened were fine. I'm not really familiar with Jack Swagger, whatever.
We the people.
Which they started chanting at the end.
I'm not familiar with him. I know of him. I've seen one or two of his matches, but that was at a point where I wasn't watching wrestling. So I was cool with that. I didn't like what he had said, though, what Nas had said about the fact that he's coming in much like everyone else has done at the end of these matches. That was kind of played out. But other than that, it worked for me. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing what's happening next week. Storylines are building.
I mean, they could have at least showed Jake Hagar ringside, and then like at the end,
No.
Hager the Horrible.
I'm all right with that. I'm all right because it's just like I was all right with Mox just coming out of nowhere at Double or Nothing. I'm okay with.
But how many times can guys come out of nowhere and you'll be okay with it before it gets old?
No, I agree with you. I agree. If this is the consistent thing,
Well, they did it with LAX. They did it with Moxley. They did it with Hagar, and they did it with
Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, Orange Cassidy.
Yeah.
Did Orange Cassidy get
He
involved?
showed up at the end of the match.
Yeah, but
The
he just showed up and he was just standing there, and then people went at him.
Well, but that's
different.
He
That's
didn't like
different.
necessarily get
He still
involved
showed
with
up
the
at the end
match,
of a match.
but he attacked Dark Order outside of the ring, like he jumped through
yep.
the ropes.
Yep.
So he didn't necessarily
Orange
maybe
Cassidy.
one way or another
plus
cause a
it's
decision.
Orange
but
Cassidy's
yes.
gimmick too. It's a little different, anyways.
I
where
wanted to
we
see
want
him.
people to come at him because then it's
Right.
you know.
I wanted to see him on Wednesday. I really did.
Fuck. He was in a dark match, which
I do
Cody
like-
did announce that now on TNT on Tuesday nights they're going to be doing a show called AEW Dark, which is showing all the dark matches for AEW, the things that weren't seen on AEW Dynamite. And apparently 3 or 4 matches happened after Dynamite, including a match with Britt Baker. Orange Cassidy was involved.
Also,
in a
they
match.
do an hour after too.
Something like that. Yeah.
With that being, and sorry to interrupt, but as long as one of my other problems is the ranking system. Right now, Adam Page is technically 0-2 if you don't include the Battle Royal win.
Yep.
In AEW, but now how does like losing to Jericho, who's the champion, that would be like losing to Alabama if we're going like college football here.
Right.
So it should only knock him down like 4 spots, but
Like a college
you have
football
guys like Pac and Cody that are 3-0, but
2-0 for Pac.
well, right, 2-0 for Pac, but then Cody's 3-0. But like, how do you rank these guys? Like,
Well,
how does this work?
Especially too because when they introduced Jericho along with I'm sorry, I'm not too familiar, so I'll call them LAX. When he came out, they put not trifecta, but they
a
called
6-man.
Yeah, they didn't call it a 6-man, but whatever they
Yeah,
called
but
it. So like,
that was-
is that going to count for a certain amount of points?
I was gonna say that's
or-
my next question is like, do we have different categories where like
Right.
tag teams are
Trifecta.
one, the 6-man tag like does this not count against the Bucks and Omega as individuals, but counts against them as like a
We were talking about
6-man?
that. Yeah, we were talking about that, and I think that's how it should be as a 3-person
like being
team.
the elite.
Yeah, the
is
elite-
now 0-1 in 6-man
right,
tag.
but Kenny Omega he lost to Pac.
Still, he's still
Ma-
2-0 or
Omega?
0-2. Sorry.
Yeah, but and yes, I agree. Whatever you're doing in a tag, in a trio, whatever it is, needs to be completely separate from your record.
Trios.
As is your singles. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Now, we said, and man, there's a lot of fucking people that are saying opposite. We all state that we think NXT was the better show that night. Didn't get the better rating, but was the better show.
From top to bottom.
Nick, we're going to start with you. Why was NXT better than AEW? And could AEW possibly put on a better show than NXT?
One, NXT was a better show. I was vested in every single match. It had a good story from start to finish in every single match. It kept me involved more. Even though that was AEW's first televised show, I was just more involved with NXT because all the matches were solid. Everybody's in-ring work was refined, and yeah, there might have been a botch here and there, but that's okay. I just was more invested in it. AEW can get better, and I think they will. So for me, that's the ultimate reason why NXT was better. I think that, for me, the more familiarity with what NXT is putting on when Finn Balor came out,
doesn't he look like
Ciampa
Jordan
coming
Devlin's
back
older?
and-
Doesn't he look like Jordan Devlin's dad for real now that he shaved his head?
when you notice he's got a tattoo on his hand.
On his hand, it's a whole arm sleeve.
Yeah,
he got,
I
bet,
but-
yeah.
So that to me is leading. Just maybe I'm being a little stereotypical. Maybe he's going to be a heel. I don't know.
I doubt it.
But I'm just
Coming
Not-
out
not
again,
right
no.
now.
Is the return of Finn Balor? Is Finn Balor now the biggest star in NXT? Nick.
no.
Okay, who is?
I would still go with Adam Cole or Velveteen Dream.
Nas, what do you think?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, he's the biggest star.
He's the biggest name.
Okay.
Biggest star right now. He hasn't been there in a while, and his main roster shit has kind of fluttered ever since he got that shoulder injury for the Universal title. He's kind of not had a direction.
Yeah.
So is he the biggest name? Yes. Biggest star? Not yet.
Yeah, yep. I like that because he's not.
Because he was the biggest star when he left
Right.
NXT. But that was a while ago.
No, I still say biggest star. If you're the biggest name, you're the biggest star.
That's not necessarily true.
Why?
Only because on the main roster,
Is the mask bothering you?
Yeah,
Is
so
like your-
much.
Is this
So
your first
much.
time wearing a mask?
no, just first time wearing this mask.
Oh,
it's like
okay.
Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to try out the new one.
Yeah.
He's the biggest name to be introduced, so he's not your biggest star yet. I mean, granted, everybody knows him at Full Sail, so he gets the reaction he gets, and they did this on purpose. I mean, we all know they did. But since he left, there's been other stars. Like Adam Cole is, I'm sorry, your biggest star. Heel or face, biggest star right now. Second, Velveteen Dream. Third, now Finn Balor.
Okay. Why was NXT better for you than AEW?
For starters, commentary. And I say that because the commentary kind of ruined the second half of AEW for me, because when we go into these DQs or these non-count outs and to the ref's discretion, it makes their commentary team as a whole sound dumb because they don't know what the hell is going on. First hour of AEW's commentary was good. After the women's match, it fell flat and it never regained steam.
Now, did it fall flat because they were also confused what was going on inside
I
the ring?
think
Is that what
so.
you're saying?
Yeah.
I really do, because it's not very often that JR sounds lost. And in that second hour, JR sound lost and everybody else was kind of floundering.
Yeah, I would agree.
I like the excitement from Tony Schiavone in the first hour. In the second hour, again, seemed lost.
Yeah, I
Now,
feel like Shivani should have spoke more.
Yes.
I love Tony Schiavone.
Yeah.
I think he should have been from the inception of AEW.
But
But-
that's fine that he wasn't, because obviously it takes time to work things in.
But-
Even Shivani has thought that wrestling didn't want him.
What? No, wrestling loves him.
Yeah,
Wrestling
the
as a whole
majority
loves
of
him.
wrestling loves Tony Schiavone, but there
With
are
that
those
being
people
said,
that hate him.
I flip now. I'm one of those people. I watched the first hour of AEW without flipping to NXT. Then I flipped to NXT, and I listened to Nigel McGuinness. And Nigel McGuinness is like JR in the 90s. It may not be the most exciting match that I'm watching, but he makes me feel like it's the most exciting match. Like his enthusiasm, his tone, everything makes everything in NXT seem better than it actually is. With that being said, the opening match, Cole versus Riddle, was great. I like I think somebody said it in that little group chat that we're all in, that the mid match exchange between them was great. And he was absolutely
Nick.
right.
That exchange was fucking phenomenal.
I think for Wednesday night's wrestling, Cole and Riddle was the best match.
Yes.
I fucking hate saying that.
I really liked
Bro.
Between the two matches, I think Cole and Riddle is tied with Pac and Hangman. If Pac and Hangman didn't have 2 botches in it.
Okay.
And anyways, I like NXT as a whole. It's a better show. It's better produced. It's been going on. They just have the veteran advantage.
Yeah.
They've been doing this longer.
No, yeah. I mean, NXT is more polished because,
But-
like you said, they've been putting on a weekly show for years now.
I did
so it's
notice.
it's going to flow better than AEW. However, switching back and forth between AEW and NXT feels small, and I'm worried about that. Not because I'm worried about it because of Vince McMahon.
Why?
And if there's anything Vince does, it's I want to look better. It's such good shit to look better.
Hold
pal.
on.
So I'm worried.
But the smaller
that-
arena makes you sound better.
no, not according to AEW's first, because AEW's fucking
First hour,
Yeah,
not
no.
the second hour. Second hour is flat.
Yeah. So, but
first
AEW
hour-
sounded great. What's up, Stefan? I'm worried
Glad
that
Stefan finally woke up.
Yeah, I'm worried that Vince, because I know that this is Triple H's baby, and I know that Triple H is gonna own this more than anything else. But I'm worried that Vince, like Smitty has said, like Joe has said, like we have all said, the inception of NXT into weekly live broadcasts on cable television changes sponsors, changes ads, changes what people are paying. I just need Vince to go, I'm going to leave this alone, because AEW should not be compared to NXT. The only reason AEW Dynamite is compared to NXT is
they're on
because
the
they're
same
going
day.
on the same time on the same day. AEW Dynamite, as far as production value, that's their flagship show.
Right.
That should be compared
With
to
Raw or SmackDown, not
NXT.
WWE's third show.
Yeah, NXT is your Ring of Honor type show where it's a
Well,
very
Ring of
intimate-
Honor plus.
No, because I'm not talking. I'm talking like the look of how the show looks is based. The AEW should be more compared to a Raw or SmackDown. While NXT, it needs to have a more intimate feel, and it is intimate.
Yeah.
I don't want that to change.
Okay, so back to what we were talking about. I think NXT was the better show, but I think AEW had more hype around it. Which is
As it should have.
yeah, it's the new. It's new. It's shiny. We're gonna play with our new toy first, and then we're
toys.
gonna watch NXT. I do like the fact that, and I almost feel like just knowing how petty Triple H is, like, oh, you guys want to make tag team wrestling your thing? We're gonna make it our main event.
I don't believe that was why it was done. I believe that in any other instance than going up against AEW that night, the NXT championship would have been the main event. However,
That's my point. They're being petty.
No, not even being petty. I think you want to try and suck the viewers in quickly. And if you're watching
Yeah,
these-
because I was confused when I turned it on and Riddle and Adam Cole were
Yeah,
right off rip.
If you're watching these shows at the same time, it's really funny how a lot of people stated that a lot of the things that were happening in NXT were also happening in AEW basically to the second, including the heat that came in after the match. But so you want to get people right away on your AEW train. Your NXT train. If you're fighting against AEW, Cole and Riddle are what you want to put up against it. While Cody,
those are your two main
While
stuff.
Cody and Sammy Guevara were an amazing match, and I know you said Pac and Hangman. I still think Cody and Sammy were the best match on AEW. So you're putting your two heavyweights against each other.
I mean, that was my close second.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they were like,
and it's subjective. It's subjective.
Right.
To me, I think your match of the night in NXT was Cole and Riddle, and your match of the night in AEW was Sammy and Cody. But that being said, you're trying to draw in an audience, and you can totally tell that Cody and Triple H are of the old school nature. Like when they're going head to head in that beginning and everything's basically the matches are ending at the same time, your involvement in the next person is coming in at the same time, you're flipping to commercial but having it in the picture in picture at the same time to keep people invested. I loved watching that, but my feel with NXT was just like you said. Both of you said I was just more invested. I liked it more. The match quality was much more superior than AEW.
But I watched AEW because it was the first.
But AEW, in the long run, with these people having more time to wrestle with each other, get to know each other's nuances, I think in a year that AEW Dynamite show could be the best wrestling show on television that week. Currently, I think the two best shows, period, are AEW Dynamite and NXT, and I think that's great that these two are the ones going head to head. Because while SmackDown's great, this is a network show, so expect it to be a lot more fun for them.
Do you think WWE did that? Because if like a year later, AEW beats NXT, oh cool, you beat our third show. You know what I mean? Like,
No.
No.
I think it's 100% a defensive mechanism by Vince saying, I let
do
my
you think
guard
that's
down.
Vince's involvement in NXT? Like, let's.
He let his guard down. He said it. He let his guard down with WCW. He'll never do it again. And that's why NXT is on Wednesday night. It's not so much our best shows. It's I have to put something on a Wednesday night. I have NXT. We're putting NXT on.
But so far, I mean, we've all. I don't know about you guys. My first time on the show, but I've always thought that NXT Takeover is better than most WWE pay-per-views.
Agreed. Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Not most. All of them.
Oh, okay, so what?
The best takeover is
NXT
better
is your
than the
top
best
product, in my opinion.
But again, there's a reason it's only pulling in 800,000 viewers versus 2 and 4 million.
Most people are used to seeing it on the network.
But again, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter if it's the best to us. We're also wrestling marks. We are. So
but
like
isn't that AEW's fan base?
But that's what I'm saying. So AEW's fan base is the wrestling mark, right? But the casual fan is not going to fucking pay attention to AEW if they keep having the problems that they're having now. And that's what I'm saying.
Also, I'd like to say I became a fan of you when you rang the bell with that scarf on.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, I liked your point when you were talking about how AEW, these wrestlers, they've only a majority of them haven't wrestled each other.
Right.
So the more and more they wrestle each other and they get familiar with each other's styles and they gain more chemistry as time goes on. It's just going to go up from there.
All right, so we're done talking with the weekend wrestling. Let's do a quick conversation about Hell in a Cell. A Hell in a Cell pay-per-view tonight. We're going to be watching it at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Where is that at again?
Downtown Detroit, Michigan.
1218
Randolph, 1218 Randolph, Detroit, Michigan. It's
I love that you use your small hand. No, go ahead.
I didn't have
Can
to
you
flip
put
it
the big
over.
one up for the insulin?
Yeah.
That'd be great.
There we go.
That's about right.
Yep.
So obviously Pro Wrestling Scorecards have put out their scorecard right now. It's only 4 matches.
How do we fill these out?
We've already talked about this. Don't pretend like you haven't
They
listened.
put the
to it in
24/7 on there too.
Yeah,
so.
24/7 is on there. So let's have a conversation about our predictions. So let's go to our Pro Wrestling Scorecard. The first match is Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan versus Eric Rowan and Luke Harper.
I don't have a login yet, so.
Yeah, you do. We have it set up through Daniel. We gave it to you. We put it in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Jesus, man. Let's not pretend like just because it's your first show doesn't mean we didn't prep you.
I was used to Smitty being here. I thought Smitty was going to be here, and I wasn't going to be the dumb one.
Well, yeah. Not too bad. Nick, who do you think is going over on this one?
Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan. Pinfall, Reigns makes.
No, just going over.
Okay.
We're not doing full
that's it.
picks or anything like that. We're doing it like last time. We're just little parts. So
This
you
dude's
think,
trying to copy off me.
Yeah,
It's
you
his
think-
first time doing it, so
Just trying to see what the matches are, because my login's not working.
Is it really not?
I don't know. I don't have time to log in.
Well, go now. It should be saved, hopefully saved on your phone like everyone else's. So what's really cool about this match is Pro Wrestling Scorecards asked a question. The name of the band on the shirt for Harper or Rowan. That was a great fucking extra. Who did you put for that?
Amon Amarth.
Amon Amarth? I put Hatebreed again. Just because with fucking Harper having it, it was such a good looking shirt.
Well, I'm going to copy one of you two.
Because I don't listen to metal music.
I watched you guys' show. I thought we were filling out the paper ones. I didn't come prepared.
Nope, it's always digital now, brother.
Oh, that's fine. I just
Becky
thought with
Lynch and
Smitty
Sasha
on the show,
Banks.
I would have been.
Obviously, the winner, the fall type, the near falls, weapon types. Will the competitor climb the cell wall? Nas, do you think that someone's going to be climbing the cell wall?
Yeah, I think they'll all climb walls. It's a uterus thing. Like they
Nope,
love,
that's
they love
not what
walls.
I. No. Which competitor do you think it will be?
Probably Becky. She's the man. She likes hitting the uterus wall.
Nice. All right. Up next, Rollins versus The Fiend for the Universal Championship. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If Bray Wyatt does not walk out of this match as the winner, not disqualification, he has to be the Universal Champion leaving this match. You're killing the character again.
Not true.
You're not sure why not? It's not going to
as
bring up old
long as
memories.
you have some, like, if the Undertaker, for example, interferes in this match, then no, the Fiend does not need to win. But if you don't have interference in this match and it's just a straight up match, yeah, the Fiend needs to win without hurting his character. No. The only other way is having the Undertaker. The Undertaker's the only one left. He's already taken Kane out. He's already taken the Demon out. Like, literally, the Undertaker is the only one that can interfere in this match and the Fiend lose. Other than that, no, the Fiend cannot lose, and then it would hurt the Fiend character.
See, I feel like with all the talk of Bray Wyatt in the past and how he was just a losing superstar.
But this isn't the same Bray Wyatt.
But the problem is it's still the same person. And while it's a different type of character for him, if you give him a loss in this, it drums up all of the past sediment of a character that could be great that they won't put stock into. And I don't want to fucking deal with that.
Oh, there's literally only 4 matches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hour-long pay-per-view, best pay-per-view ever.
Bayley versus Charlotte Flair. Do we have a new champion, Nick?
I've got Flair. Yep.
No, you don't.
Nas, do
No,
you?
you got 30 pieces of Flair? Does
I've got-
Brian accept this or what?
I've got
14 is the
Flair
minimum.
because she is the face of the women's division on SmackDown for Fox.
Boom.
I'm going,
That's why I picked
Yep.
Flair too.
I'm going old school looking. Flair looks strong, so Bayley wins.
But I agree that Fox plays a part in this. And I think having Charlotte Flair as your champion on every Friday night, especially confirming
right
her
now,
there.
Flair's your face, so Flair chases. That's what you get on Fox is Flair chasing.
Nope. Here's why. There's also a draft coming up. I could see Bayley and Sasha going to the same show to keep them together, but Bayley can only leave if she's not the champion because I believe Sasha is going to win and be the Raw Women's Champion. So therefore, Bayley can get drafted over to Raw. You might see Becky go to SmackDown because every fucking promo has put Becky in the line for SmackDown on Fox. That being said, we are completely over on time. Ladies and gentlemen, please go to breakingdownthering.com, click official merchandise, get your own BDR merch, and starting at 3 p.m. on Sunday and going until 3 p.m. after the next show next Sunday for a week. If you use the code Smitty's Meats, you get 20% off your BDR merchandise order. Again, breakingdownthering.com. Click on official merchandise. You can purchase one of our new shirts, new colors, new hoodies. All you can purchase for a week.
Yeah,
You
we
get
don't just have the
20%
same gang
off.
colors. We have new colors.
20% off using the code Smitty's Meats. If you're in the Metro Detroit area, please come down to Buffalo Wild Wings tonight, 1218 Randolph. We will have the sound on for the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Your ring crew will be there. Your brand new member of the ring crew, El Naz, will also be there, mask and all. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you tuning in to our first ever Sunday show. Again, thank you to referee Brandon Tolle for calling in. We can't wait to meet him personally at the next Evolve show here in Michigan. We are your ring crew.
El Nazede.
The whole fucking Smitty.
And me, the almighty one, Mikey himself. We